welcome back to Off the Pulpit. I'm Andreacha, she's Beatrice de Cruz, and if it's the first time you're watching Off the Pulpit, well, we invite members of our clergy to help us discuss matters of faith. And today's discussion really is part 2 of an episode on the Pope and the papacy. Last week, we heard and learnt who the Pope is, what the papacy is, and where the Pope gets his authority. So we have, once again, Father Ignatius is here to help us brush up on our knowledge of the Pope in preparation for the visit of Pope Francis to Singapore in September.
Yes, so Father Iggy is parish priest of St. Anthony of Padua. He's professor of liturgy at the St. Francis Xavier Seminary here in Singapore, and he's also very, very busy because he's chair of the Archdiocesan Liturgy Commission and master of ceremonies for our major liturgical celebrations in the Archdiocese, which includes the Papal Mass. Yes. So thank you so much, Father, for coming and sharing with us again about,
always very happy to be here.
Thank you, Father.
We are happy you're here too. So we have to ask this question because Papal Mass, right? We're talking about the Pope. So share with us, Father, who Pope Francis is and how did he become the head of the Catholic Church?
Yes, and so who is Pope Francis? Pope Francis is the 266th Bishop of Rome. Successor of St. Peter. Pope Francis was elected to the papacy on March the 13th, 2013, to replace Pope Benedict XVI, who resigned from the office of the papacy 2 weeks earlier. And the themes that have come to define Pope Francis's papacy include poverty, mercy, and joy. And probably that's why he chose this name, Francis. Now, the name Francis is the papal name of Jose Mario Bergoglio, who is actually the actual name of Pope Francis.
Right.
Now, this change of name, as he has became and was elected Pope, is a significant change in his life. It marks that significant change.
Right.
And similarly, it marks a significant change in our lives, especially when one enters into baptism or confirmation.
Right.
But we get that from St. Paul himself. Right? After his encounter of Christ, his name was changed from Saul to Paul. Right? So it
actually
marks, therefore,
Abraham also, right?
Yeah, Abram to
Abram?
Yes.
Abraham.
Yeah.
Very good. Go back all the way.
All the way back.
So Pope Francis or Bergoglio was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to two Italian immigrants. And so actually he's of Italian descent, and he was born on December 17, 1936. He holds advanced degrees in chemistry, philosophy, theology. So he's actually a very learned man as well. Now, before starting his seminary education, he worked as a janitor, a bar bouncer, and a lab assistant for chemists. Happening, man.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why you can see his character. He's
he is quite big as well.
Big and,
Sturdy.
Man.
I would say.
So even 88 years old, he's making his longest journey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is the longest
journey, especially as he's coming
for
to
him,
Singapore.
Yeah.
So after several years of study, he entered the Society of Jesus, or known as the Jesuits, in 1958. After finishing his initial training as a Jesuit, he took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, and became a Jesuit on the 12th of March 1960. And was ordained to the priesthood almost 10 years later in December 1969. And so he's the first Pope that is ordained post Vatican II. And prior from going to Rome, he served several roles as Bishop of Argentina and became the Metropolitan Archbishop. He was made Cardinal in 2001 by Pope John Paul II, and he held several administrative positions within the Roman Curia, governing body of the Catholic Church.
Right. Oh, wow. Okay, so that is really the man, as you described him, Father. But the Holy Father has certain, I would say, hallmarks or themes of his papacy, his time in office. Some themes that come to mind, and these I feel, as I said, are things that stand out, right? But they also speak about, I feel, about the heart of the man.
Now, speaking about this key themes of the life of Pope Francis, and what comes to my mind, I feel, these are not just hallmarks of Pope Francis, but truly his heart, his personality.
Right.
Right? They speak of the heart of this man, whom we call the Pope, and his mission for God and the Church. And so the first theme that comes to my mind as we speak about Pope Francis is Pope Francis as the champion for the poor. Right? And we see it also in one of his quotations. He said, "You pray for the poor, then you feed them." That is how prayer works. This is what Pope Francis said.
Wow.
And so he has always been very conscious that what underscores our life as Christian in our mission is action for the poor, not just mere words of option for the poor. So don't just talk the talk, must walk the walk. Right? And so, and in his walking that walk, he's always a champion for the poor.
Wow.
Secondly, Pope Francis is also the advocate of the environment. We all know that
Right.
very well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, as stewards of God's creation, we are called to make the earth a beautiful garden for humanity. So in 2015, Pope Francis wrote Laudato Si, which we all know, in a major document on the need to protect the environment, face the dangers and challenges of climate change in order to reduce the use of fossil fuels. Then in a 7,000-word document called Laudate Deum, which is a follow-up on his document of 2015, it was prompted by extreme weather events since then, which he called the Earth's cries of protest. And so Pope Francis appealed again in that document to climate change deniers and food-dragging politicians to have a change of heart, saying climate change and its human causes cannot be denied. So he actually lives up to the name Francis. Saint Francis himself loves creation.
Correct.
So you can see how he himself, as the Pope, then lives up to that, not only that name, but then his mission as well.
Correct. In this modern time.
In this modern times.
Actually,
yes.
Wow.
Thirdly, Pope Francis is also the bridge builder. There is, however, one title we hear applied to Pope Francis and also to all popes, and is perhaps something of a mystery to many. We call him, and we call popes, the pontiff. It is a very curious word.
Oh, yes.
The meaning of which may not be readily understood or apparent, but it comes from the Latin word pontifex, which means bridge builder. So the Pope is known as the Pontifex Maximus, right? Meaning the great bridge builder. And so more often than not, then we see images of Pope Francis building bridges by reaching out to others, like making this papal trip. Reach out, right? And he reach out to bless children, to comfort those who are visibly poor in health or who suffer from some physical disability. Those images of Pope Francis tenderly embracing so many might be easily marginalized in everyday society, and are images of Pope Francis as the bridge builder. And so as Pope Francis did, then we are also called to be bridge builders, to reach out to the poor, to the marginalized. Fourthly, Pope Francis is also the proponent of peace. In his first message on 2016, Pope Francis summoned humanity to show compassion and to transcend the apathy that impedes peace in a world that has been filled of late with conflict, suffering, and wars. The Pope told thousands of faithful gathered in St. Peter's Square in Angelus' message, "Today we celebrate the World Day of Peace, whose name is overcome indifference and win peace. Peace had to be cultivated and won," he said. beginning with spiritual struggles that starts within our hearts. And so in order to be proponents of peace, we must have peace ourselves.
Correct.
And so it begins with us, a conversion of our own hearts. And so the Pope emphasized that it is humility then that brings peace in the world and in the church. Where humility is lacking, there is war, discord, and division. He said God has given us the example of humility in His Son Jesus and Mary for our salvation, happiness. And humility is precisely the way and the path to salvation.
Wow. You know, recently there was a headline that said, you know, the Holy Father is distressed about what is happening in the Middle East. You know, I mean, we can understand why.
Yes.
I mean, he's such a proponent of peace
Yes.
that the war in the Middle East has distressed him. I mean, I thought
Distressed
that,
him.
wow, that's a powerful word to describe what he must really be feeling.
Yes. And I guess again, when he chose the name Francis, Saint Francis himself was a man of peace.
Absolutely.
Like, Lord,
Be
make
a
me an
channel.
instrument of
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
A channel
correct.
of peace.
Yes.
That's a
Absolutely.
nice hymn that we like
Yeah.
to sing. Like, make me a
Correct.
channel of your peace. And I guess through his example and also through all his papal journeys, that is what he wants to imbue in the hearts of all that he meets.
Yeah. Okay, wow.
Okay, so now that we know a little bit better about our Pope, Pope Francis, Father, how can we prepare for the Holy Father's visit to Singapore? I think we're definitely in the midst of, preparing.
We are preparing a lot.
In some way.
Yeah.
In some way. I think one of the things is the balloting of tickets, definitely. Like, this one must do, Yeah, but what are other ways that we can truly prepare our hearts to for Pope Francis's visit?
Yeah. Listen to this podcast again and again so that we know who Pope Francis is and interiorize for ourselves the symbol that he is for the world and for the church. Okay, but quoting and paraphrasing our Archbishop, he says, the Holy Father comes to proclaim the good news of the gospel to everyone, not only his sheep, which is the flock of Christ, in addition to rekindling our faith and deepening our understanding what it means to be Catholic. He continues to say, he prays that the presence of the Holy Father will encourage us to work together as Christ's missionaries and spreading the good news to every corner of the globe. These are the words of Cardinal William Goh when he learned about the news of the confirmation of the Holy Father's visit to Singapore. And so it seems like a tall order for us, but being also the year of prayer,
Right.
in preparation for the Great Jubilee, and that is why Pope Francis is making this journey, even in his old age, reaching out to nations. We should then intensify our prayer and seek conversion in our own personal lives. Firstly, by going for the sacrament of confession, because there we receive the grace of God. Why? Because conversion must first and foremost be internally in our own lives, right? Because we cannot give what we ourselves do not have. And with this grace of God, then let us seek to be like Pope Francis, a champion of the poor, advocate of the environment, a bridge builder, a proponent of peace, so that the Great Jubilee of 2025 will indeed be for us and for all mankind a hope that does not disappoint.
Actually, we are so blessed that he's coming just before the Jubilee.
Before the Great Jubilee.
And I mean, it really is an opportunity for us to, like you said, Father, to prepare ourselves. Actually, I mean, there's a lot of busyness in all the preparations, but it's the spiritual preparation that if we forget that, then all of what we are doing comes to naught, really, actually.
Because the church, in celebrating the Great Jubilee, there can be another program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where God pours out His grace into our hearts. And we must be prepared for the outpouring of that grace of God.
Correct. Correct. Okay. You see? So much, dear sisters and brothers. So this is not just someone who's coming by. It's not going to be another,
Hello.
Swifty concert or anything of that sort, It's going to be
hello and goodbye.
Swiftly come, swiftly go. In fact, I mean, really, it's the first time a pope is going to spend so much time in
truly blessed.
With us. And so, wow, we are truly blessed. It's the right time, I guess. It's the right time.
Indeed, yeah. Thank you so much, Father, for sharing with us about who Pope Francis is and how we can really prepare ourselves also for his visit. And so that's for our discussion today. And if you're listening to us right now on our live stream of the Pulpit, goes out every 2 weeks on Tuesday mornings at 8:30 a.m. And the encore is on the same day, 8 p.m. and again Wednesday at 5 p.m. So you can also catch up on this interview, as Father said. You can listen to it over and over again. Listen to it with friends and family. And this is available as podcast on our Catholic SG Radio app and on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And don't forget the YouTube channel, the Archdiocese YouTube channel. You want to see Father Iggy's handsome face, must go there. All right. So once again, Father, thank you for being with us. This is part 2 of this particular episode of this particular series that we've purposefully actually prepared for you, dear sisters and brothers, in preparation for the Holy Father's visit here. Now, Father Iggy is parish priest of St. Anthony of Padua, and he's professor of liturgy at the St. Francis Xavier Seminary here in Singapore. And as Beats was saying, as chair of the Archdiocesan Liturgy Commission, he's really being put to the test this time around, really. And also as Master of Ceremonies for all our major liturgical celebrations. If you have any questions, if you have any doubts, if you want to ask us anything, you can always get in touch with us at link@catholic.org.sg, or you can WhatsApp us at 68951515.
I have a random question.
You have a random question.
So Father is Master of Ceremonies, right? Does that mean you get to stand beside the Pope?
No, he has his own Master of Ceremonies.
There's a Master of the Masters.
Yes, a Master. I serve the Master.
Okay, you heard it first on off the Pulpit.
We'll see you all there. Bye-bye.
Bye.